Imagine standing alone at the edge of a forest. There are no streetlights, no flashlight in your pocket, no phone screen glowing in your hand. The sun has just disappeared below the horizon, and within minutes, the world becomes something completely different. The trees that looked harmless a moment ago now seem to lean closer. Every rustle sounds like footsteps. Every shadow feels alive. Your heart beats faster before anything has actually happened. Here's the strange part. You know you're probably safe, and yet your brain refuses to believe it. So here's the question that has haunted scientists, psychologists, and anthropologists for decades. Why do humans fear the dark? Is it because darkness hides monsters? Or did darkness create the monsters in the first place? The answer begins long before cities, long before language, and perhaps even before our species existed. For millions of years, our ancestors lived in environments where daylight meant information. You could see predators, you could find food, you could watch the people around you. But the moment the sun disappeared, your greatest survival tool, your vision, collapsed. Unlike owls, cats, or many nocturnal predators, human eyes are remarkably poor in low light. We traded exceptional night vision for the sharp color vision that helped us survive during the day. That trade came with a price. Every sunset turned the world into a place filled with uncertainty. Uncertainty is something the human brain hates. Neuroscientists have discovered that when the brain lacks reliable information, it doesn't simply wait for more evidence, it starts making predictions. Deep inside the brain, the amygdala constantly scans for possible threats. When visibility drops, the brain receives fewer details from the outside world, but continues searching for danger anyway. The result is fascinating. A tree stump becomes a crouching animal. A coat hanging on a chair becomes a silent person. The brain would rather mistake something harmless for a threat than ignore a real danger. From an evolutionary perspective, being wrong was often less costly than being dead. Imagine two people living 50,000 years ago. One hears movement in the darkness and assumes it's only the wind. The other assumes it's a hungry predator and climbs a nearby tree. If the sound really was the wind, the cautious person loses a little sleep. But if it was a lion, the optimistic person never wakes up again. Generation after generation, natural selection rewarded brains that overreacted to uncertain situations. Fear wasn't a flaw, it was insurance. Archaeological evidence hints that darkness shaped human behavior in remarkable ways. Some of the earliest controlled use of fire dates back hundreds of thousands of years. Fire gave warmth, cooked food, and protected against predators, but it also created something less obvious. It carved out tiny islands of certainty inside an ocean of darkness. Around a campfire, faces became visible, stories could be shared, children could sleep. Beyond the circle of light remained the unknown. Perhaps that is why so many ancient myths begin when someone steps beyond the firelight. Every civilization filled the darkness with different creatures, yet the pattern is astonishingly similar. In Europe, there were forest spirits and wandering ghosts. Across parts of Asia, stories warned of invisible beings that emerged after sunset. Indigenous cultures on multiple continents spoke of creatures that hunted only at night. These legends weren't necessarily attempts to explain reality. They may have served another purpose entirely. A frightening story kept children close to camp. It discouraged wandering into dangerous places after dark. Sometimes, the safest lesson is the one people never forget. Children offer another clue. Developmental psychologists have found that fear of darkness commonly appears during early childhood, even in environments where children have never experienced serious danger at night. Around the same age, imagination becomes dramatically more powerful. The child knows the closet is probably empty, yet the imagination supplies possibilities faster than logic can erase them. As the brain develops, the ability to separate imagined threats from real ones improves, but the ancient alarm system never disappears completely. Adults simply become better at arguing with it. Modern life has transformed our nights in ways our ancestors could never imagine. Cities glow so brightly that millions of people rarely experience true darkness at all. Streetlights, televisions, phones, and illuminated buildings have pushed back the night. Yet many people still feel uneasy walking through an unlit parking lot or entering a dark basement. The environment changed far faster than evolution could. Our brains still carry survival software written for a world where darkness genuinely increased the chance of dying. Scientists have also discovered something curious about the relationship between fear and sound. In daylight, vision dominates our perception. At night, when vision becomes unreliable, every other sense becomes more alert. A floorboard creaks, leaves scrape against a window. The refrigerator hums suddenly sounds unfamiliar. The brain amplifies these signals because they might contain important information. Ironically, the heightened attention often creates even more anxiety, trapping us in a cycle where fear makes us notice more sounds, and more sounds make us even more afraid. Not everyone experiences darkness in the same way. Soldiers, firefighters, cave explorers, and people who spend long periods outdoors at night often report that repeated exposure changes their relationship with darkness. The fear rarely disappears completely, but uncertainty begins to shrink. The brain gradually learns that not every shadow hides danger. Experience doesn't erase evolution, it simply teaches the ancient alarm system when it can relax. Perhaps the most surprising discovery is that darkness itself isn't frightening. Darkness is simply the absence of light. What we truly fear is the absence of information. The unknown has always been more terrifying than the known. That same instinct appears everywhere in human life. We fear uncertain medical results more than confirmed diagnoses. We fear unanswered phone calls more than difficult conversations. We fear what might happen far more than what already has. The darkness outside us and the darkness inside our minds obey the same rules. So return to that silent forest. The sun has vanished. The wind moves through the trees exactly as it did an hour ago. Nothing has changed except what your eyes can no longer see. Somewhere in your mind, millions of years of evolution whisper the same message they whispered to your ancestors. Be careful. Look closer. Stay alive. The darkness never contained the fear. The fear was always waiting inside us, patiently following every human who ever walked beyond the last circle of light.